Right, so it's our first day off of the COP, which is very welcome. It's been, 7 working days straight if you count standing committee, which has happened on the first day that we arrived. So this break is very welcomed. So I thought I would give everyone a quick overview of what's happened so far in the COP and what we can expect for next week. So firstly, we've had stony corals, which we've engaged on, and as some of you might have seen, some of our other videos have seen, we've managed to secure a process by which to review the definition for substrate, which is something we're a bit concerned about. We would have liked a bit more from that, but there's other avenues available for us to explore that now, which is good. Marine ornamentals, wording got put through, which ultimately we can probably live with, but the addition of wording from Israel does effectively mean that parties are being encouraged to look at species in trade for potential listing, which isn't ideal. Then yesterday we had 2 items that were of interest to us, possession of Appendix 1 specimens and endemics. Now the possession document, the concern that we have around that is the potential for someone who maybe has a specimen that isn't yet listed on Appendix 1 and it does get listed on Appendix 1 and you don't necessarily have proof of acquisition, that could cause some serious problems. So that's something that a colleague of ours from the US has spoken out about, and I'll be doing a little interview with him shortly over the next few days. And then endemics, that is where we're finding that some source countries who have endemic species, for example, like the zebra pleco, ultimately are trying to use this as a mechanism to shut down trade if the species isn't produced in their country of origin. So that's something we have quite a lot of concerns about, and fortunately we've managed to get ourselves onto a working group to review those draft decisions and basically make some of those decisions a bit more sensible. Now that working group is actually tomorrow, so what was meant to be a day off is actually a part day off because we're going to be working a little bit tomorrow evening. Now next week we're getting towards the end of the COP, so we've got a couple of items on captive breeding. One is for a technical workshop to review CITES provision on captive breeding. That actually should be quite a good thing for us, because one of the problems with CITES at the moment is that there's far too many restrictions on the requirements around captive breeding. So what we're going to try and do in that workshop is try and help explain things. So that workshop is something that we're quite pleased is being drafted as a decision from this COP. And then there's also a discussion that's going to be had on marking as well, marking of live specimens. Now again, that's another area where for small-bodied pet animals, marking is a real problem for welfare. So if you have something that is listed on Appendix 1, there's a potential for a trade ban. So again, to put it in context, if zebra pleco had been listed on Appendix 1 at the last COP, unlike Appendix 2, which is where it did end up, fortunately, that would have meant a trade ban because you can't mark an animal that's like only about that long. So again, there's going to be a review of those documents around marking, which we're going to be involved with. So that's something we're quite interested in. Then, by the time we've dealt with those, we'll be in the middle of the week, and we'll get to plenary. Now, plenary is where all the decisions that have been discussed over the COP get rubber stamped. Now, what can happen in that plenary is some items, be it listing proposals or working documents, can get brought back and another vote can be held. So it's the last chance saloon for any changes to happen. Now, in some cases, that can be a good thing or that can be a bad thing. So if you think about, I'm going to use zebra pleco again, apologies everyone, but it's a good example. Last time in Panama, zebra pleco got rejected in the committee stage, and then in plenary it got brought back and they proposed a listing for Appendix 2, which then got approved. So that's bad, but in this instance, it's something that might be a good thing. So we might see some items that didn't necessarily quite go through that we might be supportive of. For example, the UK's document on lookalike criteria, that may come back in plenary because it was short by only one vote, and that was on Wednesday last week. So that might be something to look out for. So watch the live stream, expect some drama potentially, probably on the Thursday, or probably on the Friday actually, because it's one of the later documents. So that is everything from me. I hope this has been useful. Any questions, do pop them in the comments. I will do my best to answer them, either in the comments or if it's a bit more detailed, might need a future video. Great stuff. Thank you.